Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going to be tackling project management.
Oh, yeah.
And this is something that you've clearly been giving a lot of thought to.
Yes.
Just judging by the materials that you've shared with me.
Absolutely.
We're going to explore the core principles and best practices of project management to equip you with the knowledge and tools to navigate any project successfully.
That's fantastic.
And I'm so excited to dive into all this stuff with you.
Likewise.
So I'm really curious
Yeah.
to see what insights we uncover.
Yeah, it's fascinating how project management principles can be applied to so many different endeavors, from building a house to, as one of your documents mentions, launching a spaceship.
Right.
The fundamentals remain surprisingly consistent.
Exactly. And speaking of fundamentals, let's start with the basics.
Okay.
What exactly is a project, and how does project management fit into the picture?
So a project is a temporary endeavor
Okay.
that aims to create something unique. It has a defined start and finish, and the goal is to produce a specific outcome.
Got it.
Now, project management is the structured approach that guides a project from its initial conception all the way to completion.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing there's more to it than just making a to-do list and hoping for the best, right?
Definitely. You hit the nail on the head there.
Okay.
Your study guide emphasizes this point really well.
Going.
Effective project management is a systematic approach. It requires clear objectives,
Okay.
a solid plan, meticulous risk management, and seamless communication among everyone involved.
So it sounds like there's a real science to it.
There is.
Your study guide actually lays out a clear framework for understanding the different phases of a project.
Yes.
Called the project life cycle. Can you tell us more about that?
Absolutely. The project lifecycle is like a roadmap for managing a project.
Okay.
It breaks down the entire process into distinct phases, each with its own set of activities.
Okay.
What's interesting is that this framework applies to all sorts of projects.
Yeah.
From small-scale personal endeavors to massive, complex undertakings.
So what are these phases exactly?
Well, the first phase is conception.
Okay.
This is where the initial idea sparks, and you start to explore its feasibility. You identify the need for the project and brainstorm potential solutions.
Okay.
It's like asking, is this project even worth pursuing?
Right.
The study guide highlights the development of the business case in this phase.
Okay.
It's like crafting a compelling pitch that justifies the project's value and outlines its objectives.
So it's about selling the project idea and making sure everyone understands its purpose.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But what happens once the project gets the green light?
Then we move into the definition phase.
Definition, okay.
This is where things get more concrete.
Okay.
You meticulously define the project's scope, deliverables, and requirements.
Gotcha.
It's like drawing up the blueprints before you start building a house. Okay.
You're establishing a clear roadmap for how you'll achieve your project objectives.
Okay. I'm starting to see the importance of each phase. So you've got the idea, you've defined the scope. What comes next?
Next up is the execution phase.
Execution. Okay.
This is where all the planning comes to life.
Mm-hmm.
It's about coordinating resources,
Okay.
managing tasks, carefully tracking progress,
Okay.
and ensuring everything stays on track.
So it's really like where the rubber meets the road.
Yes. Think of it as the action phase where you're actually building that house, or as your document suggests, launching that spaceship.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty intense.
It can be.
Yeah.
But then there's also the operation phase,
Okay.
which focuses on the project's final delivery and integration into the organization.
Okay.
It's about ensuring a smooth transition and handover of the finished product or service.
So it's like the grand finale where you unveil your masterpiece
Yes.
and make sure it fits seamlessly into its intended purpose.
Exactly.
And throughout this entire life cycle, from conception to operation, effective communication is key.
Okay.
You need to keep all stakeholders informed, manage expectations, and address any concerns that might arise.
Communication seems to be a recurring theme in almost every aspect of life, doesn't it?
That really is, yeah.
But let's move on to something I'm really interested in.
Okay.
The actual tools and techniques project managers use.
Yes.
What's in their toolbox?
That's where things get really practical.
Okay.
One of the most fundamental tools is the work breakdown structure,
Okay.
or WBS for short.
WBS, okay.
It's a hierarchical way of breaking down a large, complex project into smaller, more manageable pieces.
Okay, can you give us an example of how that works?
Imagine you're building a house, like one of the scenarios in your materials.
Okay.
The house itself is the final deliverable.
Right.
But to get there, you need to break down the project into smaller chunks.
Okay.
You might have major categories like foundation, framing, roofing, electrical, plumbing, and so on.
Makes sense.
Then within each category, you break it down even further into individual tasks.
Got it.
For instance, under foundation, you might have tasks like excavating the site,
Okay.
pouring concrete footings, and laying the foundation walls.
So it's like creating a detailed blueprint
Yes,
for every step of the project.
precisely.
I can see how that would be helpful for visualizing the scope and assigning responsibility.
Exactly. And this hierarchical breakdown helps you track progress,
Okay.
estimate costs, and manage resources more effectively.
It sounds like a powerful way to organize and tackle complex projects.
It is.
Are there any other tools that project managers rely on?
Of course. Another essential tool is the schedule,
Okay.
which outlines the sequence of activities, their estimated durations, and the dependencies between them.
Okay.
A well-crafted schedule helps ensure that everything stays on track and resources are used efficiently.
So it's like a project timeline, right?
That's a good way to think about it.
Mm.
And to visualize this timeline, project managers often use visual aids like Gantt charts.
Gantt charts. I've heard of those, but I've never actually used one.
Okay.
Can you explain how they work?
A Gantt chart is essentially a bar chart
Okay.
that shows the project tasks along a timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Each bar represents a task, and its length corresponds to the estimated duration.
Got it.
It allows you to see at a glance when each task starts and finishes,
Okay.
how long it's expected to take,
Mm-hmm.
and how different tasks are interconnected.
So it's like a roadmap for the entire project.
Precisely. You can see all the milestones, the critical path, and how each piece fits into the overall timeline.
I'm starting to get a clearer picture of how these tools work together.
Good.
But what happens when things inevitably change?
Yeah,
Projects rarely go exactly as planned, right?
you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And that's where integrated change control comes in.
Integrated change control.
Yes, it's a formal process for managing changes to the project scope,
Okay.
schedule, budget, or deliverables.
So it's about being adaptable and adjusting the plan when necessary.
Exactly. It's about carefully evaluating and approving changes, documenting them properly, and communicating them to all stakeholders.
Okay.
This ensures that the project stays aligned with its objectives,
Right.
even when unexpected situations arise.
That makes sense. So you've got your plan, your tools, and a process for managing changes.
Yes.
But what about the people involved? Aren't they the most important element in any project?
You're hitting on a crucial point. Projects are ultimately driven by people,
Mm,
and managing the human element effectively is paramount to success.
right.
It's about leadership, teamwork, communication, and creating a culture of collaboration.
Okay, so let's dive into that.
Okay.
What makes a good project leader?
A good project leader needs to wear many hats.
Okay.
They need to inspire and motivate their team,
Uh-huh.
facilitate communication,
Right.
resolve conflicts,
Okay.
manage expectations,
Very good.
and celebrate successes.
So it's more than just barking orders and checking off tasks.
Absolutely. The study guide emphasizes different leadership styles
Okay.
and how their effectiveness can vary depending on the project context.
I'm curious about that.
Yeah.
Are there different approaches to leading a project team?
There are indeed. Some leaders are more directive, while others prefer a more collaborative approach.
Okay.
What's important is finding the right balance for the specific project and team dynamics.
It seems like there's a real art to leading a project team effectively.
It is.
But what about the team itself? What makes a team high-performing?
Well, one key ingredient is communication,
Okay.
which is highlighted throughout the study guide.
Mm-hmm.
Clear, concise, and timely communication is essential for keeping everyone on the same page,
Right.
managing expectations, and fostering a sense of shared purpose.
So it's about creating an environment where people feel comfortable sharing ideas,
Yes.
raising concerns,
Mm-hmm.
and working together effectively.
Exactly. And that goes hand in hand with fostering a positive team culture where everyone feels valued and respected.
This is really eye-opening. It seems like there's so much more to project management than I initially thought.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
Oh, no.
There's a whole world of methodologies, strategies, and best practices to explore.
Okay.
For example, have you heard of agile and lean project management?
I have, but I'd love to hear more about them.
Okay.
They seem to be gaining a lot of traction in recent years.
They are indeed. Agile and lean offer alternative approaches that are particularly well-suited for dynamic and fast-paced environments.
Okay, let's dive into that next.
All right.
I'm really intrigued to see how these methodologies differ from the traditional approaches we've been discussing.
Great. Agile project management, or APM as it's often called, emphasizes flexibility, collaboration, and continuous improvement.
Okay.
It's all about embracing change and adapting to evolving requirements.
That sounds like a breath of fresh air compared to rigid traditional methods. But how does it work in practice?
Well, instead of having a fixed plan that's set in stone, agile projects are broken down into smaller iterations called sprints.
Yeah.
Each sprint focuses on delivering a specific set of features or functionalities.
So it's more like a series of mini projects within a larger project.
Exactly. And at the end of each sprint, the team reviews what worked well, what could be improved, and incorporates that feedback into the next sprint.
Okay.
This iterative approach allows for greater adaptability and responsiveness to change.
It sounds like Agile encourages a lot of collaboration and communication within the team.
Absolutely. Your study guide emphasizes the importance of self-organizing teams in agile methodologies.
Okay.
Team members work closely together, share knowledge, and make decisions collectively.
That's fascinating. It seems like Agile is all about empowering teams to be more autonomous and responsive.
It is. And this approach can be incredibly effective in environments where requirements are constantly changing, like software development or fast-paced industries.
Now, what about lean project management? I've heard that it's all about eliminating waste. But what does that really mean in the context of a project?
Lean project management focuses on maximizing value while minimizing waste throughout the entire project lifecycle.
Okay.
And waste can take many forms.
Like what? Give me some examples.
Well, it could be unnecessary tasks, redundant meetings,
Okay.
delays in decision-making, producing features that aren't truly needed, or even defects that require rework.
Right.
Lean principles help you streamline processes, optimize resource allocation, and deliver a higher quality product or service with less waste.
That makes a lot of sense. It's about being efficient and focusing on what truly matters.
Exactly. And one of the key principles in Lean is the concept of flow, which emphasizes the smooth and continuous movement of work through the project pipeline.
So it's about removing bottlenecks and ensuring that things progress steadily.
That's right.
Okay.
And this ties in with another important concept in Lean, Kanban.
Kanban. Okay.
It's a visual system for managing and improving workflow. You might have seen those boards with columns like to do, in progress, and done.
Oh, yes. I've seen those boards used in software development teams.
Exactly. Kanban helps teams visualize their workflow, identify bottlenecks, and improve efficiency.
Both Agile and Lean offer fascinating perspectives on project management.
They do.
I can see why they become so popular. But are they suitable for all types of projects?
That's a great question. While Agile and Lean have many advantages, they aren't necessarily a one-size-fits-all solution.
Okay.
Their suitability depends on the nature of the project, the team's experience, and the organization's culture.
So it's important to choose the right methodology based on the specific context.
Precisely. And sometimes a hybrid approach that combines elements of both traditional and agile methods might be the most effective solution.
It sounds like there's a lot of nuance to choosing the right approach.
There is. And as projects become increasingly complex and interconnected, there's another layer of management that comes into play: program and portfolio management.
Okay, we're going even deeper now. What are those all about?
A program is a collection of related projects
Okay.
that are managed together to achieve a common strategic objective. Think of it like a group of projects that all contribute to a larger goal.
So instead of managing each project in isolation, you're looking at the bigger picture.
Exactly. Program management ensures that these interconnected projects align with organizational priorities and maximize the overall benefits they deliver.
And what about portfolio management? How does that differ from program management?
A portfolio is a collection of programs, projects, and other work that an organization undertakes. It's the big picture view of all the work that's happening.
Okay.
Portfolio management ensures that this work aligns with the organization's strategic goals, risk appetite, and resource capacity.
So it's like looking at the organization's entire project landscape and making sure everything is strategically aligned.
That's a great way to put it. And this level of strategic oversight becomes increasingly important as organizations grow and undertake more complex initiatives.
It's fascinating how project management can be scaled up to manage multiple projects and even entire portfolios. But let's shift gears for a moment and talk about something that's often overlooked: the global dimension of project management.
Okay.
Many projects these days involve teams spread across different countries and cultures.
Yes,
How does that impact project management?
that's a crucial aspect that's often overlooked.
Yeah.
International project management comes with its own unique set of challenges and considerations.
Okay.
You have cultural differences that can impact communication styles, decision-making processes and perceptions of time.
So what works in one culture might not translate well in another.
Exactly. For example, in some cultures, direct communication is valued, while in others, a more indirect approach is preferred.
Right.
There might be differences in how feedback is given and received and how conflicts are addressed.
It sounds like managing international projects requires a high level of cultural sensitivity and adaptability.
It does. And then there are practical considerations like language barriers, time zone differences, and logistical complexities.
I can only imagine the challenges of coordinating a project across multiple continents.
Mm.
What are some strategies for overcoming these hurdles?
Well, building strong relationships with team members from different cultures is crucial.
Okay.
It's important to foster open communication, be patient, and be willing to learn from each other.
And probably a healthy dose of flexibility is needed too.
Absolutely. And it's important to establish clear communication protocols, use technology effectively to bridge the distance, and be mindful of cultural nuances.
It sounds like international project management is a whole field of study in itself. But let's bring it back to the individual level for a moment.
Right.
One thing that really struck me in the study guide is the emphasis on the importance of quality in project management.
Ah, yes. Quality is a fundamental principle that underpins every aspect of project management.
Okay.
It's about meeting or exceeding stakeholder expectations,
Mhm.
delivering projects on time and within budget, and to the required standards.
So it's not just about delivering a finished product.
Right.
It's about ensuring that the entire process is efficient and effective.
Exactly. And achieving high quality requires a commitment to continuous improvement.
Okay.
It involves implementing quality management systems, monitoring performance, identifying areas for improvement, and making adjustments along the way.
Sounds like a never-ending quest for excellence.
It is.
But I can see how that would ultimately lead to better projects and greater customer satisfaction.
It certainly does. And it's a journey that's well worth undertaking.
This has been a truly eye-opening deep dive into the world of project management.
It has.
We've covered so much ground, from fundamental principles to advanced methodologies and the global and human dimensions.
And we've explored some of the key takeaways from your study guide, which provides a comprehensive framework for understanding the complexities of project management.
I feel a lot more equipped to tackle my own projects now. But before we wrap up, I'd love to get your thoughts on one more topic that's really important: the impact of organizational structure and integration on project success.
That's a great point. Projects don't exist in a vacuum.
Right.
The organizational structure, its culture, and the level of integration across different departments can significantly impact project outcomes.
So a company that embraces a project-oriented culture and fosters collaboration across silos is more likely to see positive results.
Absolutely. When project management is embedded in the organization's DNA, it becomes a strategic driver of success.
But how does that play out in terms of organizational structure? Are there specific structures that are more conducive to successful project management?
There are. Organizations typically adopt one of three main structures for managing projects: functional, projectized, or matrix.
Okay, let's unpack those.
Yeah.
What's a functional organization?
In a functional organization, projects are managed within the existing departmental structure.
Okay.
So a marketing project would be run by the marketing department, an IT project by the IT department, and so on.
So the project manager reports to the head of that department.
That's right.
Okay.
And while this structure can work well for smaller, less complex projects, it can create challenges when projects require collaboration across multiple departments.
Because you're relying on people who have other responsibilities and priorities.
Exactly. Communication and coordination can become more difficult, and there's a risk of projects getting bogged down in departmental silos.
So what about a projectized organization? How does that differ?
In a projectized organization, the project manager has more authority.
Okay.
Teams are dedicated to specific projects, and resources are allocated accordingly.
Gotcha.
It's a more project-centric structure.
So it's more focused and streamlined.
Precisely. This structure works well for larger, more complex projects that require dedicated focus and streamlined decision-making.
And then there's the matrix structure.
Yes.
That one sounds a bit more intricate.
It is. A matrix organization combines elements of both functional and projectized structures.
Okay.
Project managers share authority with functional managers, and team members report to both.
So it's a bit of a balancing act.
It can be. But when done effectively, a matrix structure can foster collaboration, optimize resource allocation, and provide team members with a broader range of experiences.
It sounds like there's no one-size-fits-all answer when it comes to organizational structure.
That's right.
Okay.
The best structure depends on factors like the organization size, industry, strategic goals, and the nature and complexity of the projects it undertakes.
It's all about finding the right fit for your specific context?
Yes.
This is incredibly insightful. It's amazing to see how interconnected everything is.
It is.
From choosing the right organizational structure
Right?
to understanding the cultural nuances of international projects.
Mm,
It's definitely more than just checking boxes and following a timeline.
it is.
And speaking of timelines, one of the tools mentioned in the study guide
Yes.
for managing complex projects is Earned Value Management,
Right?
or EVM.
Yeah.
Have you come across that in your work?
I have, yes.
I've heard the term, but I'll admit I'm a little fuzzy on the details.
Okay.
What exactly is EVM and why is it so important?
EVM is a powerful technique for measuring project performance and progress.
Okay.
It integrates scope, schedule, and cost data to give you a comprehensive view of where the project stands at any given time.
Okay, that sounds useful, but can you break it down for me? How does it actually work?
Sure. Let's imagine you're working on a project that's planned to last 6 months with a budget of $100,000.
Okay.
After 3 months, you've spent $60,000, but you've only completed 40% of the work.
Hmm.
This is where EVM comes in.
Okay.
It helps you analyze whether you're on track in terms of both cost and schedule.
So in this scenario, it sounds like we might be over budget and behind schedule.
Exactly. EVM would highlight that discrepancy and allow you to take corrective action before things get too far off track.
That's really insightful. It seems like a valuable tool for keeping projects on track.
It is. And speaking of staying on track, another important concept in project management is resource leveling.
Resource leveling, okay.
Have you encountered that term before?
Vaguely,
Yeah.
It rings a bell, but I'd appreciate a refresher.
Essentially, resource leveling is a technique for managing resource allocation to avoid overloads and bottlenecks.
Got it.
It involves analyzing your project schedule and resource requirements,
Okay.
and then adjusting the schedule or allocating resources in a way that optimizes their utilization.
Can you give us an example?
Imagine you have a team of 5 developers working on a software project.
Okay.
According to the initial schedule, they're all supposed to be heavily involved in coding during the first 2 months.
Right.
However, you realize that this will create a bottleneck
Oh,
because they'll all need access to the same testing environment at the same time.
I see. So everyone would be competing for the same resources
Yes.
and things would grind to a halt.
Exactly. Resource leveling helps you avoid that scenario.
Okay.
You might adjust the schedule so that some developers start coding later,
Mm.
while others focus on documentation or other tasks that don't require the testing environment.
So you're essentially smoothing out the workload and making sure resources are used effectively.
That's the goal. It helps prevent burnout, delays, and cost overruns.
It sounds like project management is all about juggling multiple variables
It is.
and finding the right balance between time, cost, scope, and resources.
You're absolutely right. And it requires a combination of hard skills like scheduling and budgeting and soft skills like communication, leadership, and problem solving.
This has been an incredible deep dive into the world of project management.
It has been.
We've covered so much ground, from understanding the phases of a project to exploring different methodologies, tools, and techniques.
We have.
And we've even touched on the global and organizational aspects of project management.
We have, and we've also unpacked some of the key concepts from your study guide,
Yes.
which should give you a solid foundation for navigating the complexities of project management.
I feel like I've gained a wealth of knowledge and practical insights.
Wonderful.
What's the most important piece of advice you would give to someone who's just starting out in project management?
That's a great question. I would say embrace the journey.
Okay.
Project management is a continuous learning process.
Mm-hmm.
Be curious, be adaptable, and don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Right.
Learn from your experiences, seek out mentors, and never stop growing.
That's fantastic advice. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into project management.
Thank you.
We hope you found it insightful and engaging.
Absolutely.
Remember, every project is a unique opportunity to learn, grow, and make a meaningful impact.
It is.
So embrace the challenge, put your newfound knowledge into practice, and may your projects be filled with success and fulfillment.
Indeed.
Until next time, happy project managing.